Hey Graham, this is Chris, Alex and Connor here. Today I'm going to be the client, Alex is going to be the instructor, and he's going to show me how to appropriately use a treadmill.
Alright,
Started.
well the treadmill is used for cardio purposes. It engages the following muscles: your quadricep, hamstring and your calves, majority. Alright Chris, I'll get you to step on safely using the edge of the equipment. Thank you. Now you'd always ensure that the machine is turned off, and as you would start, you'd come up with this screen here. This is the screen and this is your dial pad. You'd ensure that the speed and incline when you step onto the machine is 0.
So Alex, what's an appropriate incline speed?
You'd want to start at 2 because anything less than 2 will not engage your calf muscles. And so incline, yes, your incline would be 2 for a beginner stage.
You shouldn't go over 2?
You wouldn't want to go over 2 for a beginner stage, no.
Okay.
Now your speed, have you used a treadmill before?
No, I haven't. I'm not very familiar with treadmills.
Alright, well to start off later, we'll get you starting on pretty much just a quick walk maybe, just to get you going. But before we get to that stage, I'm just going to run through some of the padding and dials here we've got. Now, this is pretty much your standard dial on any treadmill, but I'll run you through this. On your screen, you've got your incline, so you can see what gradient you're running at. The speed, obviously how fast you're going. Now this is interesting, your distance travelled. You want to know how far you've gone?
Yep.
It'll tell you here on the screen, and how far and how long you've been running. Now in more detail, you've got what pulse you are and what calories you've burned. Now to engage your pulse, whilst you're running, you'd have your hands on these little silver paddings here, respectively, and it would give you a rough estimate of your heart per minute, beats. Now you've got your lap time, which is a lot more in detail, and I'll run you through that soon, but here on the dial, which is what you'd start off with, you've got your incline to adjust, your speed to adjust, your start-stop, which would get you going firstly. In more detail, there's specific programs which I'll run through soon. Now, this is irrespective of actual training, but we also have the option of engaging a TV or radio input through here. And yes, now I'll get Chris to run through.
What's this button here?
Oh, well, that's your emergency stop. If you were struggling, you would probably turn that off. You'd twist it as so,
yep,
and it would just completely cut off what you're doing there. Now, we'll run through.
What are the benefits of using this thing? Like, what am I going to get out of using this?
Getting out of the treadmill, you will get increased cardio.
Yep.
So your breathing would become better. You'd feel easier going through day-to-day activities, walking across the park here.
Yep.
Would
I lose weight? Reckon
Oh,
it'd be good for weight loss?
Very good for weight loss. Constant calorie burn, as you can see on the dial here,
Perfect.
would engage weight loss very easily.
Cool.
A few other benefits, strengthening your muscles. It's not the equivalent of training on a weight machine, but you would definitely gain strength benefits from training on a treadmill.
So what are some, when beginners come on here, what are some common mistakes that they make when they use a treadmill?
Firstly, you'd see beginners get on whilst the machine is still on. It would still be running, and you really wouldn't want to go on just for safety hazards, OHS, etc. A few other common mistakes, obviously, technique. Technique's the big one, because that can often lead to injuries and many other problems. Technique is probably the biggest beginner fault.
Yep, okay, so when I'm finished using this machine, or even before I start, what are some appropriate stretching, what's some good stretches before I use this machine?
Oh,
Or when I'm
before?
finished, yeah, like, the muscle, as you said, the muscles that are going to be working when I do it, what are some good stretches for those muscles?
As I said before, your quads, hamstrings and calves.
Yep.
The stock standard, this
that's
goes
for
good.
the quads.
Both legs, you do it.
Yep.
Your calves against resistance, just leaning on, that
Yep.
engages your calves very much.
Yep.
Your hamstring stretch.
Yep, or you can even get down on your hands, can't you? You
Yep.
can do it. Yeah, I know.
There's
Right.
several stretching
Yep.
things that you can implement there.
Yep.
A few other things I can go through with you before we start using the machine is that, you'd want to bring a towel, drink,
So
and you'd have correct shoes on, just to know that
this
you're
is
using
gym
properly.
etiquette.
Yes.
Correct gym etiquette. Okay, cool. Good to know.
So we're pretty much ready to mount the machine and get working.
Yep.
All right, Chris, if I could have you just step onto the machine for me safely.
Yep.
Thank you. All right.
So, as you said, incline on 2 would be
Yes,
appropriate.
2 would be the beginner
Yep.
starting. Now
Yep.
we'll just wait for it to get to 2.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, to start, now Chris has never used the machine before, so we'd want to give him, let's say, a quick walk to warm up.
Yeah, maybe starting off on a walking pace.
A
would be
walk,
good.
which is pretty much the equivalent to stretching. So we'll start off with that walk. Start button here, and we'll get the speed up
Away we go.
to maybe, we'll get him going on a 3.5, which as you can see is a general pace. It's not straining Chris too much. Now, correct technique. Chris is actually maintaining a strong technique here. Shoulders up. He's gripping the padding here, which will ensure that he doesn't fall off or anything that will occur in dangerous hazards. As you can see, 1 foot at a time. General pace, moving quite well through it. Chris, would you say that's a good starting pace?
Yeah, it feels good. And do you think I should make sure my feet stay up at this level as opposed to back here?
Oh, most certainly. You'd always want to be towards the front. Obviously, not up here, but nowhere near the back, because that's probably a common mistake most beginners make.
Don't want to risk falling off, do we?
Yeah, and as you can see, the holds here are not down there. You want to be as close as you can to change your setting, to be safe, and to generally gain from this cardio machine.
Also, in case I need the emergency button, I could be able to push it.
Exactly,
quickly.
exactly.
Yep. Okay. So maybe build the speed a little bit.
Yep, we'll go through speed and see how your technique fares if we go a bit more.
Yep.
Now, this is a quick walk. You're starting to see that there's constant movement. You'd always ensure that 1 foot is on the machine at a time, a quick step through. Would you say that this pace would provide you with a benefit?
Yeah, I can slowly feel the intensity building.
All right, we'll turn it up a little bit more.
I think I could go to 8 and maybe go into a slow jog.
All right, we'll work from 8 and see how we go there. Now see, Chris is really engaging himself into the activity. You can see that the pace has been turned up significantly. He's now engaging just all his muscles in his legs as he runs through. He's demonstrating appropriate, safe technique. He's not travelling at the back of the machine, he's travelling well towards the front, well near all here, and it just gives him a general... His arms are going through across his chest, engaging himself well. Chris, would you say you're starting to feel that?
Yeah, definitely.
As you can see, he's travelled over 200 metres here after 2.5 minutes, so you can see what progress you've made. It tells you that the calories you've burnt are at 11 at the moment, so it gives you an indication. If you were on a program and you were travelling a distance or losing an amount of calories, the screen would actually tell you what you're doing. So the treadmill, all in all, effectively works as a good piece of cardio equipment for all gains, strength and cardio. Chris is now turning the machine down using his technique here.
Okay.
And we're down to 4, back to walking pace.
Yep. Obviously, for a longer workout, I'll do it for a longer period of time, but that was good for a good demonstration.
Yep.
Thanks for showing me that, Alex.
You're welcome. Chris did use his heart rate monitors and it came up very briefly on the screen. So you can always do that while you're working out. You'd want to do that when you're pretty much more intense into the exercise. Okay, we're going to stop there. You can use your stop on the screen or stop on the padding here. And this is only for emergencies, so that would be a first port of call for turning the machine off. Chris safely dismounts the machine, and yeah, that was pretty much an effective demonstration of how to use this piece of equipment.
Okay, how do you think I went on there, Alex?
Your technique was very good throughout the whole thing, both at walking pace and jogging pace. You engaged yourself well. You were holding on here, and you were travelling at the front of the machine as opposed to the back. So yes, you went very well on that machine.
Okay. So What's some other ways I could use the treadmill? Is there any innovative ways I could use the treadmill? Or
Yeah, well, to vary your exercise, I mean, you could always get the incline to simulate as if you were running up a mountain. So if you were to go up a mountain, you'd simulate yourself, you'd go the incline as high as possible,
Yep.
obviously within safe means.
Yep.
Now we're assuming Chris is an experienced trainer on the treadmill, so we'd get the treadmill going on an incline of 10, which pretty much simulates running up a fairly steep hill. So that's just one way of really innovating your training method on the treadmill. See
I'll
how
just let it get to 10 and then
Yep, see how the treadmill is now on a large gradient as opposed to the other treadmills which are on the 0 rating here. Now this is an incline of 10, it'll get you going, it really does simulate running up a hill.
I'm going to increase my speed and we'll test it out.
Yep, so as you can see, Chris is really now experiencing what it would be like to run up a steep hill.
Yeah, I can definitely feel the difficulty increasing in walking. It feels like walking up a hill, yeah.
So that will, of course, put more strain on your calves. It'll train them effectively. As you can see, I mean, that would tire you out a lot more than having the gradient on a 0 or a 2. Now this is for more advanced trainers, and yes, that would provide many benefits. Another way of varying... Yep, alright, you can turn it down. With another way of establishing a varying training program is by putting the speed up a lot higher. I mean, it does simulate a sprint as if you were in a park or so.
Yeah, I was going to say that. What about doing quick sprints? You know, putting it up to about 12 and then, you know, after
12
a
on
minute.
speed, and of course you'd probably have your incline back on 2 there,
Yeah.
and your speed would be above the 10 mark, so you could really simulate a sprint.
Yep. All right, let's put it on 12 and see how it goes.
Yep, we'll see how Chris fares. Of course, good technique will need to be established for the trainer. As you can see, as the speed goes up, the pace becomes quicker of the runner. Now see, that really simulates a sprint in a park or so. That's just one way of varying your exercise on the treadmill. The treadmill is really effective for cardio purposes. Alright, thanks for that, Chris. Safely putting his speed back to a reasonable amount. Now you wouldn't want to have your incline up while you're sprinting, because that would always result in injury. So yes, that's 2 ways of increasing a variety on the treadmill, both sprints and high incline to simulate hill running.
Okay, Alex, so how do you think I went on the sprint?
Oh, I mean, your technique was maintained throughout every exercise you did.
Yep.
You had your arms across your chest, your knees, one foot was always on the machine. You were running towards the front as opposed to the back, which worked well for you. And yeah, just general good technique.
Okay. All right, Alex, thanks for that.
Thanks, Chris.
That demonstration was very beneficial, and you know, now I feel comfortable using a treadmill. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.